Developers will tell you that you need Entra, Identity Server, or JWT to secure your ASP.NET Core Web API. But for most internal APIs, that's a massive overkill. In this video, I'll show you the simplest production-ready security that you can add today. We'll build a custom basic authentication handler, wire it into web APIs, and I'll show you exactly how it behaves with valid and invalid credentials. Authentication handlers are like bouncers. Every authenticate result.fail return is a reason someone doesn't get in, and we have 4 to implement. The first one is missing authorization request header. Basic authentication requires the authorization request header. If it's not present, we can fail it straight away. So we try to get the value of the authorization request header and output it to a variable called auth header value. If we can't do that though, we return task from result and we call authenticate result.fail, and we can put a message in there stating authorization is missing from the request header. No authorization header means no access. The next one is can't pass to authentication header value. This one we want to get the header value and convert it to an authentication header value type. So we do it by calling authentication header value.try pass. We get the auth header value variable, convert it to a string, and output it to a variable called auth header. If we can't do that though, we want to fail it straight away, and we can update the message for that. We can specify unable to convert to a auth header value type. If you can't pass it to that type, it will unauthorize the request. If you can though, the next check is to see if we're using the basic scheme. The authorization request header for basic authentication consists of the word basic followed by a base64 encoded value of the username and password. We get the scheme name from auth header. So we say auth header.scheme equals basic. So if it doesn't equal basic, we also add an additional parameter because we need to make it case insensitive. So we call string comparison.ordinal ignore case. The HTTP spec specifies that basic can be case insensitive. If we're not using the basic type, we fail the authentication. We'll update the message saying authentication scheme is not basic. We don't authenticate if we're not using the basic scheme. The final failure point is invalid username or password. The basic authentication value is a base64 encoded string of the username and password. When decoded, it reveals the credentials in the format username:password. First, we want to make sure that the value is base64. So we say base64.isValid if it's not valid, and we get the value from authHeader.parameter. We fail to authenticate and we'll update the message saying authorization header value isn't formatted correctly. If we know that it is formatted correctly, then we can get the credentials and we're going to decode them. And we do that by calling encoding.utf8.getString, and we call convert from base64 string, and we get it from authHeader.parameter. We then separate it with the colon and put it into an array. We call credentials decoded split. The separator is the colon, and we also add a 2. If you don't add the 2 in, it might break your authentication. The reason being is that we want to limit the credentials to the username and password. If there's more than 2 colons, we want to just add it into the password. So that's the reason for that. We want to make sure that the credentials array is only 2. If it's not 2, we want to fail the authentication. So we can copy and paste the message into there. Then we want to get the username, which we'll get from the first index of the credentials array, and then the password from the second. Now we're going to assume with this that both the username and the password is round the code. If they're not, we want to fail the authentication. So we say if username is not round the code, or the password is not round the code, we fail the authentication, we'll update the message saying invalid username or password. If none of these failure points occur, authentication is successful. We now need to describe who the user is, and that's what the claims are for. So we'll create a new instance of claims identity, and then we'll add some claims. We'll add a claims types.name, and we'll specify the username for that. So that should be round the code, because if the username's not round the code, it should fail the authentication. We'll also add a claim for authentication method, and we'll specify that as basic, so we can just call authheader.scheme. And then we need to specify the scheme name. If we have a look up here, we've declared the scheme name as basic authentication in a constant string, so that's what we've added there. At this point, the request is authenticated, but we need to return that. So we call task.fromResult, and we call authentication result.success. And within that, we need to create a new authentication ticket with a new claims principal specifying the identity that we just created. We also need to add the scheme name to it. This is the moment ASP.NET Core considers the request authenticated. Authorization policies can run, and your endpoint code can finally execute. Now that we have our basic authentication handler, the next step is to register it with the API so it actually works. If you want a deeper dive into creating authentication handlers from scratch, I cover it in my Minimal APIs for Complete Beginners course. You can check it out at roundthecode.com/min1 or via the link in the YouTube description. But for this video, let's continue and see how we register the endpoint handler to protect our endpoints. This is the part that most developers get wrong. They forget to register it. So we call services.addAuthorization, and with the options parameter, we need to add a policy. We can give it a name of basic authentication handler.scheme name. So that's the scheme name we added in the basic authentication handler. And within that policy, we need to set some rules. So we set policy.addAuthentication schemes, and we'll name the authentication scheme the same. So it's basic authentication handler.scheme name. And we also need to specify that we require an authenticated user. We also need to register the authentication handler. We do that by calling services.addAuthentication, and then we need to add a scheme with a couple of generic types. The first one is authentication scheme options, and the second one is the type of our authentication handler, which is basic authentication handler. And we need to set a couple of parameters. We need to name it with the basic authentication handler.scheme name, so that matches what's in there. And for the second parameter, we can just specify null. Now we just need to register this with our API. We go into program.cs and we just call builder.services.addBasicAuthentication. With that done, we can use it in API endpoints, and we'll start with minimal APIs. You add require authorization and specify the policy name. If you only have one policy registered, this isn't strictly necessary, but specifying it makes your code explicit and ready for multiple schemes. You can add this on a group and also on an individual endpoint. Let's test it out in Postman. We'll select no auth as the auth type. It returns 401 unauthorized. Let's select a different auth type. Let's select JWT bearer. It returns 401. Let's now select basic auth, but we'll put in an incorrect password. It returns 401 unauthorized. Now this tells us something important. The handler is being hit, but authorization is failing before the endpoint is run. Let's now put the correct credentials in, and it returns a successful response with our body. So far, we've protected endpoints using minimal APIs, but a lot of older ASP.NET Core apps use controllers, and the good news is that you can use the same authentication handler. We've created an authorize attribute, and we need to set the authentication schemes to basic authentication handler.scheme name. This just tells ASP.NET Core what scheme name to use. Under the hood, it's still using the same authentication handler that we created earlier. and we just apply it into the controller by calling the basic authorization attribute. Let's try it in Postman with the wrong credentials. We get 401 unauthorized. Let's put the correct ones in. We get 200 OK. Download the code example for this tutorial at roundthecode.com/examples or via the link in the YouTube description. Today we learned how to secure an internal API with basic authentication. Simple, fast and production ready. If you want to secure a public API, JWT is the way to go, and you can learn exactly how in this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.